Okay, welcome back to the Success, Money, Marriage podcast. I'm Steve Siebold.
And I'm Dawn Siebold.
And today we're going to talk about something we are uniquely unqualified to discuss.
Completely 100%.
To some degree. Now, I'll qualify this. No pun intended. But here's what we're talking about. I read a book called Secret Selfmade Millionaires Teach Their Kids a few years ago. It made the cover of Time magazine, actually, the first, 2 months it was out, and that catapulted it, and it's done really well. But people, sometimes we did a lot of press for it, still do press for it, actually, but we did a ton of press the first year. And people would say, well, you don't even have kids. How do you know? Well, for many years, at that point, maybe 35 years, we'd interviewed, self-made millionaires around the world. And one of the questions I always asked them was, what do you teach your kids about money, success, wealth, prosperity, all the things that, wealthy people are known for? What do you teach your kids about those things that you think the middle class and the lower classes socioeconomically do not? Mm-hmm. And that was always one of the questions from 1984 forward. And so, I logged all the answers, and the answers are in this book. And so it wasn't from our experience because we don't have kids. Now I have Dawn. I've been raising Dawn for 38 years, and I'll be honest with you, it has not gone well. It has not gone well.
That doesn't qualify.
I failed as a parent to raise young Dawn.
I think.
But
I think what's important to know is that the interviews that Steve did were from self-made millionaires, not inherited.
Right.
And that's a big difference because obviously if you're an inherited millionaire, that's a whole nother.
I want to be an inherited millionaire next time.
Me too.
It's so much easier.
Yeah, me too.
Don't you think?
I wish you were too.
Billionaire would be better even.
Even better. But no, seriously, Steve, I think it's important. These were self-made millionaires because these interviews, they didn't start off with a bunch of money.
Right.
They did it on their own. And now what are they teaching their children? Are they giving them too much? Or they not giving them enough? Or they think it's a good idea or it's a bad idea? Well, all the ideas in your book, are coming from people who didn't get that kind of training as a child with the parent who was super rich and then passed it on. They are developing as the children grow up.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. And people sometimes will say in the press, they'll say, well, self-made. Or is any millionaire or billionaire really self-made? No, you mean, in other words, in the context of they did it themselves. That's not what a self-made millionaire is. A self-made millionaire is what Don just said, a person that earned their money. Mm-hmm. They didn't inherit their money.
Right.
2/3 of millionaires in America are self-made, and 1/3 are inherited. And so we're not talking, I interviewed some of the inherited wealthy because I used to think, remember back in the 80s when we started, I just thought rich people were rich people. Then I started interviewing some people who were, including one of the Johnson & Johnson heirs who was a billionaire at probably 10 years old.
Right.
And I interviewed him, I think, when he was about 25. I thought he was going to jump off a bridge. He just looked suicidal.
He did.
He was one of the richest people in the world, literally at the time, and he never worked a day in his life, of course. And unfortunately, with the inherited rich, they know they never worked a day in their life, and they know that they never worked a day in their life for anything, and they inherited it, and they feel terrible about it. It kills their self-esteem.
Right.
And I swear, I probably interviewed, I don't know how many, it's been so long, but probably 25. And I remember I came home and said, I'm not, no more.
No more. Yeah.
These people are miserable. No wonder. They've never done anything.
Well, that's a whole set of
no social skills, most of them.
And that's a whole nother set of rules. They play by a game that is not even remotely close to what any of us are
accomplishment
playing,
or anything.
No, but just saying.
I want to be one. Don't get me wrong. I want to be one of those people.
No,
but they don't.
I'm just making it clear
honestly,
that the stuff that you put in the content that you put in that book, is real, and it's from our real world, not that world that billionaires are living in. They do play by a different game of rules.
Well, they do, but the self-made. I learned to really respect because these are people that fought their way up from nothing. And most of them, almost to a person, will say, I had a ton of help.
Yes.
The idea of I did it myself.
Not one person.
That's
I don't
nonsense.
think.
Nobody does it themselves.
Not one person ever said
that. It takes an army of people to create success.
And then get luck.
Get luck. And people that say, there's no luck involved. It's all, luck has nothing to do with it. Oh,
sure.
Baloney. It doesn't have anything to do with it. You're kidding yourself. That's ego. Of course it does.
Yours just hasn't hit yet.
And sometimes you get bad luck. We've had businesses where we just mistimed it. Right. And we've had businesses like one of the last ones we ran that we opened. We lost millions of dollars on it, and money we fronted ourselves. Which maybe we shouldn't have, I don't know, but we mistimed it. It was really good. It was mistimed. And so that was maybe a little bad luck, but then we have had good luck in other things like anyone else that's, had some success. So there are multiple factors, but certainly nobody does it by themselves. I just want to make sure, we're clear on that. But one of the chapters that really grabs people's attention in this book. And I purposely put it in the first chapter because I wanted to grab people's attention. And the chapter is called "Rich People Rule the World." Oh, that got under CNBC. Oh, they did not like, MSNBC. MSNBC did not like it. CNN did not like it.
Right.
Some of the more left-leaning people, at least fiscally, did not say, well, that's not really true. Well, yeah, it is true.
Do you just like to piss people off?
No, not really.
I mean, if you're being honest with yourself, you just like to piss people off. He just likes to get attention, pissing people off.
It has its advantages.
Okay.
It's kind of fun. No, not pissing people off, but getting their attention by shaking them up, making them think.
Or pissing them off.
I don't think most people think. I really don't. I mean, most that's a big claim, but
that's a lot.
Let's say many.
Okay.
I'll say many instead of most. So I don't think we're not taught to think for ourselves. We're taught to follow systems. You go to school, you get out. We were always told, I think we've talked about
get a job.
Yeah, we'll get a job. Well, I was always told you're going to college.
Okay.
Like everyone in my town, or at least in my circle, whatever.
Right.
There was no question. Like, you going to college? Like, yeah, of course, everyone goes to college. Well, it turns out, no, they don't. But in our area, whatever, my little circle, they seem to. And then you get married, and then you have kids. And I did all those things until you said, no kids. There'll be no kids for you. You're like the kid Nazi.
I did not.
You're like the kid Nazi.
No,
I never thought about that before.
No, y'all, it was
genius.
No, here's that whole conversation that lasted. Here's that whole conversation that lasted 15 seconds. We were walking on the beach at our first in our first house. We were like 24, 25.
I don't think
we've been married.
Oh,
no, it was an apartment for sure.
Yeah.
So anyway, we've been married for 3 or 4 years, and we're walking on the beach, and Steve's like, "I think we should start having kids now," and I'm like, "I don't." Okay.
No.
It took me 3 seconds.
Typical of you,
It took me 3 seconds.
Typical.
Hey, do you want to have children? I don't really want to have children. Okay, that was the conversation.
I started crying is what I remember. She shattered my dream.
That's not true.
Okay,
that was it.
True.
It lasted 3 seconds. Do you want to have kids? No, I don't want to have any kids. Okay. That's exactly what you said.
I don't remember it that way.
Well, tell me. Okay, it doesn't matter.
I remember thinking, well, that's what you do. I mean, literally, it's like a brainwashing. That's what you do.
That's what you do.
Well, a lot of people don't, but I didn't know that.
Right.
I mean, it's amazing how you can be brainwashed and you don't even know you're brainwashed.
Right.
And so then, then when you said that, it actually didn't really bother me. And then I remember because we were so young, and we were 20 years old, or you were 21, I was 20, whatever. Mm-hmm. You were 45 and I was 20, I think is what it was. Yeah. But she's an older woman, I know.
By 1 year.
By a lot.
11 months.
But it's a long year. It's a long 13 months. 13 months.
And I do the math.
Exactly. You
can still call me. I can help you.
No, but it really, it's funny because it actually didn't bother me. I just never considered it. And my point is that it's not about really trying to piss people off. It's just trying to make people really think. And when you push them to think, they get pissed off. Right. It's just part of the equation.
It's a good way of putting it.
Yeah. But I mean, I never thought about that.
So tell us what you meant by that chapter in your book.
Well, now you're bringing me back to where I was. So
that's
I appreciate
what I do
that.
On this.
Yeah.
And I get notes from our listeners every day. Thank you for bringing Steve back.
Well, rich people rule the world. So the idea is that, so the way I start this out typically with the media, I'll say, look, we've always been taught as a brainwash thing, love makes the world go round. Wouldn't that be nice if it did? Well, that's a delusion. Of course, it'd be great if it did. I mean, that would change everything. There'd be no wars. But of course, the world is a history of wars. Mm-hmm. You really look at world history, it's all wars. You can go from war to war to war in the documented history of the world. Right. There's not that many years documented. There's several thousand maybe, but people have been around for 200,000 years.
Right.
Contrary to popular belief, but that's another show, I guess. But bottom line is that we're just not really taught to think for ourselves and to really look at things and say, you obviously thought about the kids thing, which good for you. I don't know. I mean, where did you get that you weren't going to have kids? I mean, what made you think that you would break, especially a woman? And that's a long time ago in the 80s.
Hey.
Well,
wasn't that long ago.
In the 80s.
No, I think
long time from now, socially.
I honestly, I'm laughing at it now, but it really kind of comes back to being unrestricted. I just didn't, I came from a really big family and my brothers and sisters all had children and I just saw the restriction children put on kids and I wanted a career. I wanted to go to college and no one else in my family had gone to college. Do you even like kids,
Kid Nazi? Does the Kid Nazi even like kids?
You are the kids Nazi. I knew it.
I married the kids now. This is bad. I didn't. This is new information.
Why would you ask me something like that? It has nothing to do with your book.
You don't know what to say.
Your book. It has nothing to do with your book.
No, I'm asking you though, because it's the kids. It's for kids.
I know. I read it. I think there's a time and place for children.
Oh, you are the kids. Okay. All right. Well, now you guys know.
Honestly, I don't have the patience.
You're a terrible person.
I just don't have the. It's just because I don't like kids. I just don't have the patience. Let's talk about your book.
Okay. So rich people rule the world. So I mean, if you look at it through the eyes of objective reality versus subjective reality, you have to look at the evidence, the data, the facts, which people, especially, I hate to say it against America, but America is not known for critical thinking. No. We are one of the most delusional. I mean, when you travel all over the world and you do business, and we've operated our business in 10 countries around the world. And obviously there are people who have done a lot more than that. But, just in the 10 countries in which we've operated, you look, I love America for so many reasons, but one of them is not critical thinking.
No.
We are so delusional. And I think because it's such a rich country, we get away with it. And the rest of the world, how we started operating like in Europe and people are like, you Americans, you're so, obnoxious. You're obnoxious. Well, obnoxious for sure.
Yeah.
But compared to them. But,
right.
In terms of the way we think, they're like, you have to look at reality. We've been around for a long time. You guys are 200 years old.
A lot longer than, yeah.
We're 2,000 years old,
right.
And whatever. And you can kind of make a pretty good. They make a pretty.
We're like
decent
teenagers
case.
Compared to them.
We're like spoiled teenagers. And so we're delusional. We believe we're so now. Of course, what the kids say now, or not just the kids, but I actually heard an anchor say this on a TV show today when I was waiting to go on the show, and she said, "Well, that's they're speaking their truth." It's not your truth. It's the truth. It's either the truth or it's not.
Right.
It's a zero-sum equation. It's either yes or it's no. It's true or it's not, right? It's black or it's white. So this book is really designed, and I mean all my writing's designed to get people to think objectively. Look at the facts. Look at the data. I'm not saying I don't want love to make the world go round. It would really be a great thing. You wouldn't have people dying and all kinds of things, right? Starving,
right?
Wars, all these crazy things, political polarization. I mean, look at the hate.
So, are you teaching children in this book to be thinkers? Is that what it is?
Well, that's the root premise of all the books or anything I've ever written. I mean, really, for the most part,
right.
is to try to get people to think critically,
right?
To think in objective reality. To say, if this is true, then show me the data to back it up. Otherwise, you're making extraordinary claims, and as any critical thinker will tell you, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence,
proof,
and it's usually not there.
Right.
And people say, well, that's my truth. Well, that's your truth. You're delusional then. It is because unless you have evidence to back it up. So the point of it is, in terms of rich people rule the world, is there's a lot of evidence to back that up. Rich people control the world. Rich people like to become political people, or political people many times become rich people, or both.
I think you're speaking in absolutes right now. We got in trouble last weekend
because Dawn spoke in absolutes.
Yes, I'm just drawing your attention to it so you're aware of it.
Well, yeah. Well, some of that does sound like absolute, but in terms of the data, it shows obviously money. If you want to know why decisions are made, it comes from money. Why did they teach people how money works in school? People ask that all the time. Why would they not teach something so fundamental to your success in life as how money works? I'll tell you exactly why. The financial lobby blocks it because they're rich and they don't want you to know how money works, because the less you know, the more they make. It's that simple. But they won't. I was talking to a banker today. And I was about to say that, so I thought I just met him. Probably save that till the second.
You were invited once to this meeting.
Right? I know.
Might not be invited back.
But I mean, it's hard to argue with that. You get him in a corner, and there's no way they can argue.
But you're putting him in a corner because he can't deny it.
Absolutely, because it's objective. There's data to back it up, and rich people rule the world is something that data can back up.
Right.
So if you want to have control of your life, it helps to have. Rich is a relative term. I don't even know what it means. It's all subjective, but that's subjective because rich to one person is not rich to another. When I think rich, I think of the people we've interviewed. I don't think of small business people. I think of large business people.
Right.
Richard Branson.
Right.
Who looks like we're going to get to interview. Who I've never interviewed.
Great.
Looks like we're going to get to interview him.
That's awesome.
I got a contact that wants us to interview him.
That's
but anyway, he is rich, right?
Right.
But that's relative. Someone could say, well, I was making, whatever make. It doesn't matter how much. I doubled my income. Doesn't matter how much you make.
Right.
Well, then they feel rich.
Right.
So whatever that means. But the more you have, the more control you're going to have of circumstances, of things around you. And that's just reality. It should not be that way. I totally disagree with it, but that's never going to probably change, right? So there's other things in this book that really, and there's a lot of chapters, and I'd recommend you read this with your kids because they will not learn this stuff in school. It's not a big pitch for this book, but, well, a little bit of a pitch for the book, I guess.
Pitch the book.
Pitch the book.
I need more
We need the
tennis
money.
shoes.
We need the money. Pitch the book. Secret Selfmade Millionaires. Teach your kids. There's a workbook.
Shameless.
You can download it. It's the address is in the book when you get it, and you fill it out with your kids, and people do it all over the world. We hear it. We just got back from where?
Yeah.
Phoenix,
No,
LA,
San Jose,
California, and they people talk about filling this thing out. But like, I'll just give you a couple other chapters. There's how many chapters? I don't even remember how many chapters are in this crazy book. 160 chapters, short chapters. Where did I put that? Oh, here it is. Another one that gets people going is, money won't make you happy. Not that this has to be, really. You teach kids that, because that's the thing about money. People think, oh, rich people, they think it's going to make them happy. They know money doesn't make you happy.
Right.
It gives you control of your life.
Right.
It gives you options you can't get without it. But happy? If you're not happy without it, you won't be happy with it.
I agree.
You think?
Oh yeah, I agree.
I remember our first house.
I think everybody knows that.
I don't know.
But it wouldn't be a bad thing to teach your kids.
Did you know it before we had any money, though? Did you really know it? Because I used to think, I'd kind of like to try it. And because I'm thinking maybe they're just playing it down. I'm serious. I used to think that.
Right.
Because when we had no money, you're thinking, it would be nice. Obviously, it's nice to have.
Right.
But yeah, no, I think it'll make me happier. But, Martin Seligman, who we've worked with, Dr. Martin Seligman at the University of Pennsylvania, he was the past president of the American Psychological Society. I think he's the Abraham Maslow of
today.
Of the last, since Maslow's been dead, probably, I think Maslow died in 1970. And Seligman really is the heir apparent, in my opinion.
I agree.
Positive psychology, and he's a phenomenal, super nice guy, too. And with the happiness study, of which we were a part 20 years ago, which landed on the cover of Time magazine, Seligman went out to show that happiness is it nature or nurture? Are you happy because you're born with a predisposition of happiness and optimism, or is it something that you nurture in your life, like you're a positive thinker? It
can be learned.
Yeah, they push back against the industry we've really been in most of our careers, which is self-help, and they make and I agreed with Marty about that.
I did.
They make a good statement to say you guys push it too far.
But didn't he come back and say there was a way to nurture it too? Didn't he 15 or 20 years ago come back and say?
Well, there nurture is involved, but it's mostly nature. It's mostly predisposition. So we all took a test.
Right.
There were 100 of us in the group, and it landed on the cover of Time magazine. It was 63 pages in Time magazine. It was amazing. And Seligman headed up the whole thing with Mikhail Csikszentmihalyi from Claremont College, who just died. He's the psychologist who came up with the idea of flow. And another nice guy I worked with. He just passed away a few months ago. He's a great guy. Everyone called him Mike, because no one can pronounce his first name. He's from Poland. But anyway, so Seligman he created this test, this happiness test, this optimism test. And basically it was to prove whether it was nature or nurture, happiness. And I scored, my score, there was 100 of us that took it initially. Now tens of thousands of people have taken, if not more. But this was the original test. And I scored I think it was 98.7 or 98.8 in the happiness quadrant. So in other words, out of 100 would be you're as happy as you can be. And I was 98.7 or something like that. And I remember when Marty announced the scores, he said, people were clapping, and he said, don't clap, because it's not because these people are skilled.
Or did anything.
They were born with this.
Right.
It's a predisposition. They didn't acquire that. It wasn't nature. It was, it was nature, not nurture. It was something they were born with. Now, Seligman, on the other hand, I believe, if I'm right, I could be wrong about this. So Marty, if you're listening to this, don't be mad at me. You can correct me. But I believe Marty was in the 40s. Someone who struggled with, and I think that's probably why he became the great psychologist he is.
Wow.
And he's very low. And a fair amount of the psychologists, I was one of the only non-psychologists in the room, because we were selling psychological performance training to major corporations, which is the reason Marty had me there. And Price Pritchett was there, another person that did this relatively the same thing. And I think Price and I were the only people that were outside of psychology and academia. And a lot of them scored in the 40s and 50s. So they struggle with this happiness thing, and so it's more disposition. That's what the study found. So a part of the study, this is where I was going with this, but that was just fascinating to me. I mean, I've never heard, that was just amazing, because I wouldn't bet that, because the self-help industry, the industry of which we've been a part of for so many years, says, well, you make yourself happy.
Right.
And the data shows you don't.
Right.
Now, you can add a little bit by things like the gratitude list and thinking about what you're grateful for and you're happy about. Certainly, you can direct your conscious mind toward optimism.
Better, toward better.
Sure, better optimism, whatever, positive thinking.
Right.
But most of it, the majority of it, is what you were born with. You showed up. You don't get credit for it.
And then too, wasn't the test also saying that once you can do things that make you happier, whether it's a gratitude list or be nicer to people or whatever the self-help or personal development books have taught you. But at the end of the day, you end up being back to where you originally were when you were born.
Set point.
Your set point.
Your psychological set point.
Right,
yeah, you end up typically
going back.
That's why
you always need personal development, because you try to keep it on your mind so that you're continuing to get ahead. Because if you don't, you probably go back.
Well, that's personal development, and then you have the positive psychology the whole discipline of that, which basically Marty Seligman created. I mean, and there are other people like Mike Csikszentmihalyi who and there are other people there. Barbara Fredrickson was another one from Michigan. I believe Barbara's from Michigan, Dr. Barbara Fredrickson, and there's some others that I just don't remember because it's been a long time ago, but brilliant people.
Right.
And this is where Marty wanted to say what Marty said in the meeting when he opened up for the meeting. It was at the Gallup building in Washington, D.C. Some major people were in the room.
I remember
Marty
that.
Seligman, Mike Csikszentmihalyi, Vince Cerf.
Are you just dropping names at this point? Because Hunter, doesn't it sound like he's just dropping a whole bunch of names?
I'm not dropping names. I'm telling the story.
Okay.
But now I was kind of dropping names on this one.
Yeah, I could tell. I know where this was going.
I was thinking about it.
You met him in a lunch
Now you're
line.
embarrassing
You
me.
met him in the
Why
lunch
would-
line. It wasn't like you got to
come on.
sit with him. You met him getting your table.
I had lunch with him.
You did not.
I did.
Did
No, I
you?
did.
You had this. You
I met him
sat
at
at his
lunchtime,
table.
but
Oh, yeah, I didn't. Okay.
No, him and I
can't
sat
remember-
together.
I can't remember the story.
No,
Okay.
him and I sat together.
All right,
You weren't
all right.
even there, Dawn.
No, I got it.
Miss
Steve.
Smarty Pants,
I know, but
Bossy
you're like,
Pants.
I met, and you're like, okay, yeah.
No, I did.
I thought you met him in the lunch line.
He called me up.
He did not
didn't
call
me
you.
up. He didn't. I wish he did. He didn't. No, Vince Cerf. He works for Google now. He's one of the top executives at Google. He
Just in case they, yeah.
He invented email.
Right.
He invented email.
I know, Steve. I've heard the story 1,000 times, so I'm happy.
And he called me up and asked me about some tips.
Should we call it email
No,
or should we call it email? What should we call it,
I'm like, no, let me think about it.
What
He's
should
like,
we call
Steve,
it?
whatever you say, we're going to go with. I'm like,
that's right.
email.
Email.
No, he invented email in 1968.
Yeah, I know
for
the story.
MCI.
Yeah,
he was
I
working
remember.
as an employee for MCI, an engineer, and they wanted to send. He called him. I said, "Did you call it email?" He said, "No, he called it packets." He said they want to send information around the office, and we called them packets. And so we were talking at lunch, and I did have lunch with
I know.
Dawn.
Okay.
And so I'm not just dropping.
I just thought it
names.
was funny. It was at lunch, not like you were having.
No, I
big
did.
meetings.
I literally met him in the food line because there was like 100 people at that meeting, and he had all these really smart people there. And so he said, I said, "Do you ever see the internet?" Now this is 20 years ago.
Yeah, right.
So the internet was out, but it wasn't like it is today. But it was still huge. And I said, "Did you ever see the internet in your wildest dreams and email being?" And he said, "Absolutely not." He goes, we couldn't imagine why any normal person, like in a normal household, would need a computer. Like, why?
Isn't that something?
That's what he said. He was really a super. Now that Google hired him, he's one of the top people at Google.
That's neat.
He's a brilliant
Cool.
guy.
Cool.
Anyway, really cool people were there. I just got off a little on that because I remember Vince Cerf was there. But anyway, so one of the happiness things that Marty found in this study was that by the time, in terms of money, does money make you more happy? When people reach $75,000 a year, that's where it peaks. After that, unless they have super big bills, after that, if they make 76 and they're no happier, if they make 176, they're no happier than when they made 75.
Interesting. Good to know.
Just because they have a little bit extra and they feel like they can do some things, and this is what the study showed, the survey showed. But after 75, that's really no difference. You know, and I think that's really accurate. And I think it's easy to say when you
that might be 100 now. Might be 100,000. You know,
might be 100, yeah, probably
yeah.
with inflation and whatnot.
It's good to know.
But you know, I mean, seriously, I really did. I always heard, oh, money won't make you happy. I'm thinking, yeah, that's told by people with no money because they have no idea.
Right.
I really did because we were interviewing these rich people.
Right.
And they kind of seemed happy.
They sure did.
Although they do live, the super, super wealthy. They're very intense people.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
They're like wired.
Yeah.
Not all of them, but most of them.
Yeah. It's over the edge.
To me, it's everyone to each his own, of course, but it's probably just, again, a psychological predisposition. But I always came away thinking, I'm ambitious, but there are levels of ambition.
Oh, right.
These people, that's all they do.
I like working, but not like these guys.
Yeah, these guys work 24/7.
Right.
And it doesn't matter how much they have. It's just a game.
It's
they don't care about buying things. They just want to, that's great. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, some of those people, have changed the world.
Right.
And then but anyway, that's the idea that money doesn't matter, and it really doesn't. To a certain level where you're comfortable, and then I guess whatever level that is for you, You know, in the financial business, they say it's about $200,000 because there's
just
margin.
a great thing to teach your kids.
It is a great thing.
Just
yeah.
wrapping this one up. I mean,
say, hey,
it's just
be comfortable,
right?
But it's not going to make you happy. Another one that gets people's attention is avoid blood money. Don't do anything for money, and don't screw people over because it will come back to bite you. And I don't mean they're going to come back to bite you. I mean, it will bite you coming back to you personally because you're not going to feel right about it. And we won't get into blood money, but we've been in a few deals where people, you know, made blood money and pushed people around and screwed other people out of money. And it's just the dumbest thing you can do from a personal standpoint because it's
too bad we have to teach children that.
You do. I think you do because this is the real rough and tumble world of success.
I agree.
That's why I wrote this book. It sounds like I'm bragging about the book, but I kind of am at some level because this is based on a lot of research. This isn't my opinion.
Right.
This is the opinion of hundreds and hundreds of rich people. You know, I mean, another one is avoid magical thinking. This idea that, you know, you're just going to be successful no matter what, the money's going to flow like water and all these things. And that's just not the way these people go to work. They're workers.
Yeah.
You know, and there's just a couple other ones that there's a lot of, there's 160 chapters, but some of these are really grab people's attention. And the last one I'll mention here is approval addiction. You know, the idea that
we could do a whole show on that.
You could do a whole show on that.
I think we should too, because that's a great topic.
You can't be addicted to the approval of other people if you're going to be successful. You've got to live your way. And if they like it, great. And if they don't, they're not thinking about you anyway. They're thinking about themselves. And the last one, I won't go into because we'll do a whole show on that probably at some point because that's so big. We've done national speaking tours, 40 city tours on approval addiction. Remember the one we did in 16, 2017, whatever it was?
Yeah.
And it was very well attended. People are into that. The last one of my favorites, though, is number 159. Never marry the party girl or the quarterback, the cheerleader or the quarterback or the party girl. Date the party girl. Do not marry the party girl or the parents or tell their kids. Yes, or the party boy. I'm not kidding. I didn't say it as a joke. I mean, I'm joking around, but I didn't write that as a joke because this is. I don't think. Well, yeah, women do it too. Actually, I take it back. But I know more guys that have married, you know, girls or women, and we could name. Obviously, I'm not going to name their names, but I mean. Together, we probably know dozens of those people over the years we've been together that said, "Oh my God, she's so hot! Oh my God, he's so this or he's so that," and they're flashy and they go, "Oh, I've got to be with this person. I'm in love." It's like you just met the person yesterday. Oh no, it was love at first sight. Really? There's a delusion right there. It's not love. It's not love at first sight. It's lust at first sight, maybe. Yeah. Oh my God, there's a gorgeous person. Oh yeah, that's not love. You don't even know who they are. You don't love them. You're lusting for them, which is fine. I'm not saying that's bad, but I'm just saying that's not love. So don't tell your kid. I mean, I think that's a hell of a lesson. Mm-hmm. Don't do that. Now, how do you qualify?
Well, how does the party girl ever get a husband then?
That's her problem. She doesn't. Or she does. She gets divorced. I mean, or he gets the money.
There's no way for the party girl. There's no way for the party girl to get a husband.
Unless she marries the party boy. And that they usually, because they're the party boy and the party girl, they're superficial is what I'm trying to say. I mean, but you'd have to explain that to a kid. I mean, obviously this isn't a 10-year-old. This is probably a 15 or 16-year-old kid where you say, look, there's two different kinds of people. Okay, there's people you date and there's people you marry. Or you don't have to marry necessarily, or spend your life with a person, whatever. That's obviously growing in popularity, and that's fine. But whatever, someone that's a partner, versus someone that's a fun person to go out.
Well, that's just not very fair to the party girls.
It's not.
Okay.
And I'm not saying that's not fun. I'm just saying that my point of the whole thing is that this is a life lesson that you could, I know a lot of smart guys, and you do too, I know, because we know some of the same people, obviously, but that are very smart executives, senior executives in companies, multimillionaire business people that did exactly that. Mm-hmm. They see some hot chick and they go, oh my God, and she's 25 years younger or whatever it is. And that's the person, I'm in love. I'm head over heels in love. No, you're not. Don't be stupid. You're not. That's going to go away.
Hey, you're talking in absolutes again.
Well, yeah.
Stop being stupid.
A little bit. But I mean, what a lesson to teach a kid. Now the kid goes out there and now they're prepared for the world. And that's why, again, I'm really proud of this book because I really am. Because I feel like if we had kids, I would absolutely indoctrinate them. Well, that's probably a bad way to say it. I would have them study it. I wouldn't indoctrinate them. I try not to do that. But because there's enough of that. But have them study these concepts. Now they go out in the world and they see it through the way it really is, the lens of reality, as opposed to fiction and fantasy and delusion and all these sunshine and roses. The world is a nasty, mean, tough, beautiful place. I mean, it's
so should we end? So should we end on that?
Well, it is. And
Not a very positive ending, Steve.
Well, it's a beautiful place as well.
Yep.
Right? I mean, it's that dichotomy. It's that whole thing. But we're not taught these things. And so I go on forever about this, so I'll shut up. But the bottom line is, read the book if you have kids and read it with them and fill out the workbook. It's a free workbook. Fill it out. And I swear, I have people tell me all the time, the book's only been out maybe 3-4 years, but people tell me all the time, book signs like they just did the other day.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the best book.
They're going to keep that little thing they filled out with mom or dad or both for the rest of their lives, because these are things that matter.
Right.
Not the only thing that matters. It's not just money, but it's success, and it matters. It makes a difference. It's like how money works. It matters.
I agree.
You know?
I agree. I wish you'd get a little more worked up over it, because you just don't seem like you're excited about it.
I don't have any enthusiasm.
We need to work on that.
Yeah. But I'm still looking for a supermodel. All that said, because I feel like I can handle it.
Or the cheerleader.
I can handle it. Now, she might kill me.
And you know what? If you can get one, you should.
You're not gonna help?
Absolutely
Can't help?
should.
You know any supermodels?
No.
That like me?
I know.
Maybe they listen to the show.
Maybe. Call Steve.
Call Steve.
Be a winner.
1-800-BE-A-WINNER. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.